Hey Magic players, this is Ben with MTG Frontier Guide, and today we are bringing you a deck tech for Abzan Warriors. Okay, we're going to start the deck out with our non-creature spells, and that's going to be 4 copies of Collected Company. This allows us to cheat our creatures into play whenever we need to, potentially on their end step, so we can attack the next phase. And then we're also running 4 copies of Dromoka's Command. This allows us a little bit of removal and protection from damage-based board wipes. Okay, we're going to move into our creatures now. In the 1-drop slot, we have 4 copies of Bloodsoaked Champion. Bloodsoaked Champion's great because he recurs. You can swing in with them. If they block, maybe they offer a trade, then you can bring him back from the graveyard that same turn. And then we're also running 4 copies of Narnam Renegade. And Narnam Renegade's great because it's a 1-drop that can potentially come in with a +1/+1 counter on it, and it has Death Touch to help keep the opponent's creatures from coming in, or possibly kill one of the larger creatures in the format as well. Next up in the 2-drop slot, we're running 4 Chief of the Edges. Obviously, we want to swing in with our team, so we want as much attacking power as possible. And then we have 3 copies of Metallic Mimic, so all of our warriors will come into play with an extra +1/+1 counter on it. Next up, we have 3 copies of Grim Flayer. He's great because he helps us filter our draws, so we're always drawing action, and also help potentially set up some good Collected Company hits. And then we have 3 copies of Duskwatch Recruiter, whose main ability lets us pay 3 mana and put a creature card into our hand from the top 3 cards of the library, or he can flip and allow our creatures to cost one less mana as well. Now, to finish out the creatures, we have 3 copies of Den Protector, and typically you want to play her face down, so that way you can flip her over and bring back something like Dromoka's Command or Collected Company to your hand. You do have the option of grabbing a land or a creature card if needed as well. And then we have 2 copies of Mardu Strike Leader. Mardu Strike Leader is nice because when it attacks, you get to put a 2/1 warrior creature token on the battlefield. The dash functionality on the card is really nice as well, because later on you can just dash it in and swing with it right away and get that extra creature token onto the battlefield, and it makes it a little more evasive in case they're running any kind of sorcery speed removal. And then we have a full playset of Renegade Rallier. Renegade Rallier is nice in Frontier because you do have access to fetch lands, and Revolt is pretty easy to trigger with the fetch land, and you can actually bring back a land from the graveyard with Renegade Rallier if you don't have a creature in there that you want to bring back, and so it can help you ramp into additional mana rather quickly. Okay, now we're going to move into the mana base. We do have 2 copies of Concealed Courtyard and 4 copies of Blooming Marsh. We like the fast lands because we don't have to pay any life to get them out, and they come into play untapped in those first few turns of the game, which is very crucial for getting some of our quick starts that we want with this deck. Next up are going to be the fetch lands that we're running. We have 4 copies of Windswept Heath and 4 copies of Flooded Strand, and these allow us to get the colors that we need within the deck. Our dual lands are going to be 4 copies of Canopy Vista and 1 copy of Sunken Hollow. And we're going to finish up the deck with just 1 basic swamp, 1 basic forest, and 1 basic plains. Now, as always, the sideboard is going to be dependent on your local meta, so whatever you're typically seeing at your game shop. Some options could include Authority of the Consuls, if they're running any kind of a haste deck, or potentially the Saheeli Felidar combo. Fatal Push also fits into the deck pretty nicely. We do have the Mardu Strike Leader that has dash, and so you can actually trigger the Revolt relatively easy by dashing him in later on in the game to get rid of some problematic creatures. And Fleshbag Marauder is a great pick because of the collected companies. It can hit that and force them to sacrifice a creature off of a collected company hit, which is always pretty nice if you're trying to clear the way for an assault. I also like Hidden Dragon Slayer. It's another good warrior that can fit into the deck to deal with some problematic creatures. And then Tormod's Crypt is always good if they're running any kind of graveyard shenanigans. Well, I hope you enjoyed the deck tech for the Abzan Warriors. If you did, definitely hit that like button. Remember to subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and share. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the video, what kind of decks you'd like to see in the future. Once again, this is Ben with MTG Frontier Guide, and you guys get out there, play some Magic, and have some fun.